That's right, man, Charlie. That's right.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always use that active red line defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
And just like the big man said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Special guest settings, Alex, aka the Different Knock. Before I say anything and let you say your thing, people, if you're not subscribed and you're not following this man's content, don't get involved when you see him at 100k and all of these things. Subscribe now. Honestly, bro, I'm one of your biggest fans, man. I really fuck with your content, man. And I even see the sense of humor shining through now. Like your Arteta video, the one you just dropped, wavy, man, wavy. I did.
Thanks, mate. I've also just realised I'm wearing the exact same hoodie I wore last time.
Good omen, man. I swear, last time we did this, I swear we won. So we need to keep that up, my guy.
Yeah. I do have other clothes, I promise. But yeah.
You're good, man. You just drew people to that now, man. You shouldn't draw attention to that, man. I'm sure many people can see that you've got a washing machine, my guy. You're good, man. Let's get into it, though, man. Before anything, Liverpool, West Ham. What's your thoughts on them? What happened in them games?
It's infighting season, isn't it? We've dropped a couple of points and everyone's doing an inquest.
Doom and gloom and that.
Yeah. And okay, so I think the Liverpool thing, if we look at the shape of the games, they're pretty similar-ish, like a good sort of first 20, 30 minutes, and then we start to drop off. So I think I have a few theories. I think there's a number of things that happened in the games that were different. And I think there's a number of things that happened in the games that were consistent across the two. So I think against Liverpool, I think we had the Anfield situation. I think ultimately Liverpool are a club and a team that are so... I think the reason Klopp has slightly fallen off is so much of what he does is based on intensity. So if you get like even a tiny bit extra from the crowd, that has such a massive impact. And like their home record's still sick, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what people were forgetting about. They were focused on how poor Liverpool were and forgetting, listen, Anfield's not a nice place for us to go to or anyone. Anyways, their form is intact, really. I think prior to playing us, they didn't even concede it at home. I could be wrong, but there was crazy stats going into that.
Yeah. I think, there was there was something like we'd scored like 20% of the goals that they conceded at Anfield against them.
Crazy.
On that day. Do you know what I mean? So like Anfield is always going to be a hard place to play. And because of the way they play, in my opinion, if they get a bit from the crowd, and you could say it was the Xhaka situation, you could say whatever it was. I don't have a particular opinion on that, but I think it's just an easy thing to jump onto. So, Xhaka, right?
It was Arteta last year, Xhaka this year. Breaking news: crowd react to decisions on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, we do that at the Emirates, and at the end of the day, the fans are not the one playing. Before you carry on with your thoughts, what do you make of? Because you said it. What do you make of the atmosphere? Because for me, as you said, you can't downplay it. It's Anfield. It's everything. And I think we've, not just Liverpool. There's some tough away grounds. Brighton isn't a nice place. Palace ain't a nice place. And we've won at these grounds, right? But at the same time, I think it's overstated because at the end of the day, they're not playing. Like the fans are not playing. It's like being a boxer. If me and you, like, let's just say I'm from America, you're from England. You come to America. I live in the deep trenches of America in some random hood. And you come, as you're walking out through the entrance, of course, you're going to be pelted with things. People are going to intimidate you. But once you get into the ring, it's us two, really. And the crowd, in relation to what happens on the game, that dictates everything. They're going to be as nervous or as optimistic as you can be. I know we're not Manchester City, but I'm pretty sure you watch the Champions League and you watch Bayern Munich City. The way they were taking this thing out of the game where Bayern Munich were going crazy, they needed their fans, it was irrelevant. And I think that's where we need to go, being able to play when there's not a single reason, being able to frustrate teams. Where are you at with the atmosphere stuff?
Yeah, I hear you. I think probably it impacts certain teams more than others.
100%.
I think it probably... Well, I do think Anfield is a slight anomaly because I think, like, especially because of the way they play and because it's so based on intensity, like I do think you're right, but also if there was 60,000 people shouting at you while you streamed, it would it would affect how you
100%. 100%. I'm not downplaying it. I just think I think it can't be over. I think it can't be overstated, but it's overrated.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think oftentimes people, because they don't understand what's actually going on the pitch, they just say it's all down to Anfield. It's not all that. There's loads of other factors. 100%.
Yeah, essentially.
It's that. I think so. Yeah, basically, I think that happened at Liverpool specifically, and then at West Ham, I think. I have something about the pitch at West Ham. It's fucking massive. I think that was part of the problem. Anyway,
Tuchel was crying about his own pitch when they went out when City beat them at Bayern Munich. What's all these clubs with all the money that they've got crying about pitches, man? It's crazy.
Yeah. It's not the carpet. But basically, I think a lot of it can be put down to, across the two games, factors that I think are sort of in common. I think Arteta's reactiveness. I really like Arteta in the sense that he trusts his principles and he trusts his players and he allows them to try and fix the problems on the pitch. And I think he's given them the tools. But I also think there has to come a time. It's easy to, if Saka scores the penalty and we win 3-1, we're not talking about this, but we are. So I think what happens is sometimes he trusts them a little bit too much and doesn't respond soon enough. And I think it clearly wasn't working out at West Ham from about 30 minutes in till about, I don't know, probably until they got the equaliser. So
scored,
so I'm like, realistically, there's got to be something, whether it's changing the system, whether it's changing, it doesn't always have to be bring someone on, but changing something, moving something around. And I also think that happened a little bit at Liverpool. I felt as though there just wasn't a change in approach. I felt we were too vertical. We didn't just put our foot on it. Like, it's fine to just put your foot on it.
Called about 20 minutes quick earlier than he did.
Yeah. So I think that happened. And I also think, again, what you're saying about there's certain factors that get overstated and understated. I think this gets overstated, the impact of Rob Holding. But the impact of Holding, I talked about this in a recent video.
Check it out, people.
Plug.
Got to promote the team.
What he does, I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but our defensive line was like 17.3 meters further back than it normally is. You can see it playing out. Yeah. And what that does is it's like, okay, well, that's one person. What does that do? It increases your attacking distances. So the likes of Saka and Ødegaard are way further apart because they have to drop further back because of.
And it encourages the opposition to come and have a go, really.
Encourages the opposition. So there's loads and loads of different things. And also it means, like you can't press them. They aren't going to feel as much indicated to hit it long and then we win it back in the way that our presses work this season. Facts. So it's not just Holding in terms of his inability in behind and he wants to drop back. It's the knock-on effect of that. So I think it's a number of factors. I personally looking forward to Southampton, whether you want to talk about that. I hope
we're getting into that. Of course, we have to, mate. We've got a lot of things. I've got my topics. Don't you worry.
Agenda. I just hope we can fix that issue. But I mean, maybe we can talk about that.
What do you put it down to? Because, like you said, and I think we both agree, I do feel as great as we've been this season. I feel if you look at the principles of a top 4 team and stuff like that, I can't praise Arteta enough of, the courage, the commitment, how we play, how we're just more competitive. Even when we're losing, we're losing in better manners now than what we used to do. And obviously you do the tactical vids. We're seeing lovely football in it. There's just so many things. When I look at a top 4 team, I love that. Now, if we're looking at this title race where the margins start to get smaller, I do think we need to be a bit harsher on things. And when you look at, as much as I can criticize or praise Arteta, I think the best players work things out themselves. I can't underestimate, Ferguson, Pep, Wenger, all of these guys that have won stuff. But I do think the players fix things out themselves. And I don't want to read too much into things, but it's always like Arteta's having to hold people's hands. And it's like we're very naive at times. And you touched on the first 20, 30 minutes in both games. Obviously, football's a 90-minute game. So, like, where's it gone wrong? Like, have we taken our foot off the gas? Are we too immature? Like, was we too complacent? Like, where are we at with them for you, man?
All of the above, probably. Like, I don't think it's down to one. I don't think many things are down to one factor. I think that the point you make about hand holding is a good one, actually, because I do think if you watch Arteta on the sidelines, he is constantly going, "You stand there, you stand there, you stand there."
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's striking that balance because
so
I think
conducting the orchestra.
Fact. Yeah, and sometimes you do just need to let people. It again, but I've just criticised him for not being reactive. So it's a hard balance to find, right? So, but I do think at times he has to let them work it out, and at times he has to do something
proactive, 100%.
Be proactive. And that balance is really, really hard to strike, and you're not going to get it right for 38 games. So I don't know. I think realistically, the football that we play and the principles of play and the reason we played so well is because Arteta set us up in that way, with a high line, with the ball carriers, with the blend of youth and experience, with the I thought like Jesus against West Ham at 2-0, him dropping in and playing Yoga Benito was funny. It was great. But like at some point you're like, okay, but now what we need is we need you to go up front. We need someone moving those centre backs around. We need someone who can get the ball to feet. You don't need to come and get it. Yeah. You don't need to cut. Did you see his heat map? It was like
everywhere, man. Everywhere. Jesus is a Duracell battery, man. Like Martinelli's everywhere.
Yeah, which is fine. And he comes and gets it off the keeper and stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. When we're 2-0 up, but so I think there's just certain things that he needs to. For me, and it's also easy after the fact, but I think there's certain things that he can be a bit more like, no, you need to stand here, and sometimes he needs to let him work it out. But I do feel this holding issue is holding us back a lot.
I see what you did there. On that, let me ask you something. I might be wrong, but I remember you made a tweet, and I was trying to think about it. I think you said something. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, it's not a story. Something about controversial takes and something about, if I remember correctly, like Jorginho.
Terrible opinion. I was right. Do you know what? I thought I was right at the time, and then I've watched it, and I was wrong, because the thing is I was viewed. I'll caveat this, and ultimately Twitter's not the place for nuance, so I'll delete it. When holding is brave, because what happens? You watch the game. I watched this back with do you know Rohan Chivan?
Yeah.
He's top, you should get him on here. He's top guy. We watched the game back for different knock, and what happens is holding gets done by Antonio. Do you remember about 20 minutes in?
Yeah, and
then he just drops.
He's scared that it's woof.
He loses all of his confidence.
In the second half, that do you remember when I think Antonio hit I think either a chance that led to hitting the crossbar. Antonio just pulled him into wide areas and just had fun with him. Really, it's crazy.
So, and then he just starts going, I don't want to defend that space in behind. I don't want to be that guy again. I don't want to give away a penalty. And he's panicking. He's thinking about Son. He's having flashbacks. His hair's going again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he's having all of it. Like, it's all going wrong. And then so dirty, and then he panics. When he's all right, when he's like feels like he's on the front foot, he's stepping up, he's proactive. When we I think I talked about this last time we came on, when the roles kind of swap, because before Gabriel goes in for the aerial duels, wins that, Saliba picks up.
When it's Trench's defending, Holding's in his element. When it's the present day defending, he just hasn't got it. So where would you be with Rob Holding then? Because I do feel, and I'm sure you will agree, multiple things. I know some football fans don't agree, but multiple things can be true in it. Like Holding cannot be good enough, but he cannot just be the only reason. Based on how the game started against Liverpool and West Ham and should have ended, we had enough there. And I don't think I think Holding harms the system. As you said, I think players have to kind of hold his hand. He drops the line back, but I don't think he's been terrible. And I think we had enough to win those games. And I find myself with Holding now, I can't really keep blaming you because you're not of the caliber. Bro, you're not. I praise Mikel Arteta for assembling this squad. You've got Rob Holding there at a crucial moment. We've seen this story before. How many times are you going to watch the same movie and think there's a different ending? Either you're crazy or you're taking some sort of drugs. So it's like, do you think Holding's unfairly treated? Because I don't think it's as white and black as Saliba's fit tomorrow and we would have won against West Ham and Liverpool, because we showed naiveties in them games.
No, as always, it's multifactorial, and ultimately what happens, as you know, in internet discourse, is someone says one thing and they may mean this and loads of other things, but someone goes, "Oh, it's not just that," and then you just
just like with the atmosphere thing we were just speaking about.
Yeah, it's not going to be one thing. Holding holds us back in some areas, and also there are other issues. So I think I do think he's unfairly treated, because I said this in the video. It's like asking a 4x4 to compete like a Ranger, to compete like a Ferrari.
You have it. Great example. There you have it. It's just not cut up to task. It's not going to make sense.
It's not the same thing. It's like, and I also even as well, because what happens is I understand people want to find someone or something to play, in which I understand. But in the last 2 years, 2 years, Arteta's signed Ben White, he's signed Tomiyasu, he's brought Saliba back into the team, and he's promoted Raul Walters. And we're still in this situation where that fifth choice has ended up being there by hook or by crook. So I sort of think, people say, we haven't built the squad well. And I'm like,
don't forget Marie and Kirill for the left-hand side as well. We've been bringing in centre half.
Like he's spent like 42% of his budget on defenders. It's just unlucky, and sometimes that's just what happens. There's no one to blame. Yeah, but I do feel bad for him because realistically, he's going to get all the blame if we don't win the title.
And I think, and it's harsh, man. And again, obviously, you should be praised or critiqued fairly. But for me, it's made that in particular injuries goes to Arteta. I've got a lot of sympathies. I don't have any sympathies for Arteta or any manager with injuries because you can be unlucky. If the whole squad is ill or been hurt, then I get it. But we've seen this before. Even I sit here and say maybe if we had another right back or if we had a centre back, you've obviously got Tomiyasu and Ben White. But injuries happen, and even with Tomiyasu, even if Tomiyasu was available, he'd probably play ahead of Rob Holding. But I couldn't bet that from the point of Saliba being injured until the end of the season, if Saliba wasn't a thing, that Tomiyasu would go the distance. So we've seen this before. Arteta's seen this. Actually, Arteta, these are the best days for him because when he joined, not only did we have a poor squad and we weren't healthy, every week someone was getting injured, whether that was because of training, even when we was bringing players back. So I haven't really got sympathy. And you touched on it there as well. Not only that, we had to have known if we play Rob Holding or if he has to be deployed in anything but the cups, you're going to rob a bit of what Benjamin's doing, what Saka is doing, what Odegaard's actually doing, what Granit's doing, what the whole team is doing. Because naturally, they're going to want to protect their teammate. And I also wonder psychologically, with the greatest of respect to Holding, how much does that play on the players? If they can't make certain runs or stay certain positions on the pitch because they think if Holding gets caught, he's in issues. And the thing with Holding is naturally, if we had, I don't know, Socrates, he would get targeted. They're targeting Rob Holding. Antonio, like you said, from the first minute, let's get him out wide, get him isolated, make him uncomfortable. And I don't know how much that filters in. What do you make of Rob Holding's ball playing ability? And I know the obvious, but I only ask because I've asked this to my supporters, to my fans, to my friends, and we still no answers because on one hand, I hate the fact that Rob Holding is just Mr. Rose Ed. But on the other hand, I love it because if that is you, then keep doing that. Because if you try and turn on whatever like Saliba, I'm going to get onto you for doing things that's above your pay grade.
I tried to start a chant at a game once when Holding came on, and it was, the Dancing in the Moonlight.
Yeah.
Holding in a back five.
This guy.
But that's what he's best at. And
literally.
It doesn't. But also, if you look at his numbers, he's not the worst ball playing centre back in the world. He's just not. He's just not as good as Saliba and Gabriel. But then the problem is not
of what we need, really and truly, essentially. I'm pretty sure you've seen this as well.
It's also, and what you said about the impact on the team, it's like anything. Exactly.
Not that we needed this to know that this was a thing, really, but
with your eyes, right? But it's like anything. If you work at I don't know, your first job when you work at a cafe or something, you go on. There's 5 other people working with you, and there's that one guy, and you're like, oh, for God's sake. And you're going to have to work harder. And it's part of life. And realistically, no one in their right mind thought Holding was going to compete for a starting position.
No,
it would have been, Saliba, then it would have been Tomiyasu, then it would have been Holding. So realistically, we're dealing with our third choice here, and he's fine for a third choice.
I disagree. I don't even think he is. I think for where we want to go, unfortunately, Mr. Rob, you probably got to be full fifth. Really, I think we need a right-sided centre back, Benjamin and Tomiyasu, with an asterisk in their names ahead of you. And then you Holding. I don't want to see you if it's not to come for the last 10 minutes, if it's not the cup games.
Sing the song.
And I feel harsh saying this about someone who is, I wouldn't call him a cult hero, but he's won an FA Cup. He has put in some good performances. As you said, he's Mr. 3-5-2. He's a lot better when it's just a defensive job. It's not the extra glee and things. But Arteta assembled the squad in August. You knew if something happened to Jesus, Eddie had to fill in, and he done quite well, and actually Trossard as well. So you knew that if something happens, it's got to be a Holding thing. And the more we improve as a team and we go further, and not just what we're doing in the Prem, but all cups, there's going to be more and more and more games. And again, I keep using City as a guide point because if you want to be the best, you have to look at the best. They've got Akanji's coming and look like a different player from the Bundesliga. They've got Ake, they've got Stones. On paper, they've got Laporte, they've got Diaz. I'm not saying we need to have all of that, but we need at least a player that if he's not going to be Saliba, the metrics are even closer than this, and we don't feel the absence, in my opinion, as much, really. As much as I want curtain raisers, we need to also get players in that we can just keep ticking over. You saw what happened against Bournemouth where Xhaka didn't start. We lost something. You saw probably in the West Ham game, as much as I love Tierney, and it's almost like asking a fish to climb a tree, him playing in the inverted role. But we lose a lot with Zinchenko. So we signed up for this. So I've got no blame for Rob Holding. I'll praise and critique fairly, but I don't have much expectations on you. You're just doing a job, really. And it's like if they threw us onto the field, we're going to get ripped. Like, you shouldn't be in this scenario. You should be someone that remains a voice in the change rooms. We see you in the documentaries, etc., etc. But you've got to play, ain't you? So it is what it is.
Put him in an ambassadorial role.
Yeah, man. Do the coaching.
I was just imagining me playing centre back for Arsenal. That would be absolute.
That is a myth. I'm only 5'8". That's a myth. That's a myth.
I'm 5'11", so not much better.
Yeah, no, you can do it, man. You can do it. Ben White can move over there. I'll play right back. I might be like Tavares and not defend, but still.
I think just a point on that, like something that I do think is changing is if you look at Pep's teams and squads and stuff, he always tries to find people who can play multiple positions.
Yeah.
And what that means is when you do get injuries, you're not having a massive drop off because you're only having a guy who's sat in the tracksuit for half the season, just comes in and plays that one position. You can have someone like an Nathan Ake who can play left back and left centre back and could probably play DM. You have someone like I don't know, like Gundogan who could play loads of different positions. So you're not.
Sign Declan Rice, like I wouldn't want to see him centre half, but if we can get away with that for a couple of games,
exactly. So I think we have to do, and we are doing that realistically. I think when I say like third choice, I mean in the right centre back slot because that's the only place you can play. Realistically, in our defensive group, if you look at it, we've got on the right hand side Saliba, White, Tomiyasu, and Holding. Now he would in like the two slots, you'd have him fourth, and you'd have him only in one position. You wouldn't play him right back. So if we replace him with like a Fresneda or something, someone who could play right and centre back, then you've got four guys, all of whom realistically can play in those positions. So I think that's where we're heading. I think we're looking for a centre mid who, maybe they have like Declan Rice, who maybe they have a preferred position, but can do a very, very good job in another position. So that we don't have this like Partey El Neni drop off. We can go Partey and then play Rice next week, even as a different option stylistically as well, as not just as an injury cover.
That's exactly what we need, man. But unfortunately, at least until this season, we can't get onto that. I wanted to ask you: is it a failure if Arsenal don't win the league? It's a headbanger.
That's a hard question. Okay, so failure and disappointment are not the same thing. I would be very disappointed, and it would be very disappointing considering where we've been. I think, if you look at like the last 10 games and consider just that run, was it a failure if we don't win the league? I guess from the position we were, if you started if you started from there, yes. But the season itself, you can't call that a failure. You can't. I think you can be disappointed, but realistically, we've gone from 8th to 5th to it would have been set to. We
weren't even in a lot of people's predictions for top 4.
We're still not, mate. So
let's keep that going, man. It's a good omen then.
Exactly, yeah. So I think I would be disappointed overall. I think it's not a failure in the context of the season. I would never say it, but I think you could argue that it is in the last 10 games because realistically, if you look at that run, there's games there. How we're playing, we should get enough points. We shouldn't have lost points to West Ham. If we drop more points from here, if we lose tonight or something, you think, come on, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, sorry. I've got the hoodie on, mate. We're fine. But yeah. Yeah, that's. I have to think about that. I think that's what I think. Is it failure? I don't know.
I think you put it perfectly, man. I think it's one of them, kind of what we was talking about with the Anfield stuff or Rob Holding. A lot of people are looking at blames. I feel a lot of people behave like simpletons when it comes to football. A lot of football is simple and white and black, but it's not always that. The devil's in the details. As you put it perfectly, and it's made me think, I think from an emotional response as a human being, I would be disappointed because, one, we're having such a great season individually and collectively. As you said, we've gone from people not even putting us in top 4 shouts to building blocks. It would be nice to have have something beyond just memories that might be forgotten that cements this and being a league title. So it would be. And kind of what you said in that we've kind of fumbled it. For as great as City are or aren't, we've kind of fumbled it ourselves with the recent games, with a lot of the draws, with a lot of actually dropping points from winning positions. Like, I'm disappointed, but I'm not necessarily surprised how we lost the game against Liverpool and West Ham, because they've been there. You know, that happened against Man United. We got a positive result. That's been there a number of it. Bournemouth as well. Aston Villa away. Them sort of things have been somewhat fragments of our game. It's just according to the results, people will see what they want to see. So it would feel like a failure. I guess that would be a failure for me, but I don't think you can have it both ways, man, really. I don't think you could call it a failure. I think we'll accept the banter. People can get onto us, all of this sort of stuff, but we weren't a shoo-in for top 4. We didn't even know the level of consistency we'll get from these players. It really is a 0 to 100 story. It really is a hero story, really. So I don't think you could call it a failure. Next season, if we did exactly this, and from August to talking points where Arsenal fighting for the league, then I think you could entertain that. But for me, it's just the fact that it would be this, as you said, it would be a disappointment. As you put it, it'd be a disappointment. It'd be disappointed. I'll be disappointed, but I wouldn't call it a failure. I think I'd more call it a season of foundation. I think we've seen the good. Now we've got to go and be great, because it's the fine margins that wins you the league. It's getting something from West Ham, from Liverpool, breaking down low blocks like Newcastle, keeping players fit, having people so that you don't rely on the likes of Rob Holding. So it'd be a great year, for me, a season that Arteta and the players could be proud of, ultimately learn from, and try and replicate it, man. Would you change any formations for the Southampton game? Because some people, I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter, some crazy stuff like back threes with Saka right wing back and all these crazy things.
How have we not collectively learned the Xhaka left back lesson?
Yeah, we haven't. I don't know. Fans love
Xhaka
pain.
left back shouts.
Fans love pain, bro. They love pain. It's not Football Manager. I get the theoretical side, but as you said, we've seen it before. We already lost Saliba. We might lose Zinchenko may or may not play. The one players that are kind of playing well, or the people that are essentially the heartbeat of our team, why cripple it again? Because we're going to even be more exposed defensively and have an even more inability to not score goals. Yes, Xhaka could, in theory, do the Zinchenko thing, but he's not mobile like that. So you're going to lose something out of midfield. We've got Holding, so the build-up plays dead. If you think Saka, Jesus, and them lot dropping deep against West Ham was a problem, God knows what's going to happen if we do that. I do think in general, we need to be a team that in theory could play a back three and do a couple of these things. But yeah, like you said, we ain't learned our lessons. I don't think we're that experienced already enough to do that. And I don't know how you feel, but we're in the last 7 games. Like, now's not the time for none of that. Let's just keep doing what we've been doing and bring it home, really.
Yeah, there's loads of schools of thought, right? Like you could stick completely with what we've been doing. Yeah. You could say what I do is I'm toying with the idea of Kivior, because Kivior's ambipedal. I don't think people realize this. He can play on the right. It wouldn't harm our build up as much as people think it would. Realistically, he has. We saw it against Liverpool, or maybe West Ham. He has the pace to deal with the movement in behind.
And a bit of rashness. He took someone out within 30 seconds in that game. That was crazy. I liked it in a weird way, but
But I honestly, from what I've seen, and I remember he came on for like 10 minutes or something against Palace, was it, before the international break?
one of them games at home.
He just touched the ball, and I was like, "Yep, he's a player." He just the way he touched it, and he just looks confident and
just needs a bit of time.
Yeah, and I think, like, realistically, this is without Zinchenko. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say 2 options. I think either we stick with exactly what it was before, and it depends on Zinchenko's fitness. I think obviously if Zinchenko's fit, he comes in. If not, give him 30 minutes at the end so he's prepped for City. I think stick with it and be like, look, Rob, I know you don't want to get spun in behind. I know. I
feel like I'm Rob Holding. I feel like you're talking to me personally.
Listen,
but
you specifically. Listen. Like, I know you don't want to get spun, but you're having look at this graph, and then you go on. You look at Deluded Gooner. He's got a little graph for you. Have you been watching the streams? Are you people deluded? Come on. And anyway, so show him that. Be like, look, I know you don't want to get spun in behind, but you're having an impact on the team. It's not on you, but like, you just need to push up and just give the ball to someone better than you. That's all you need to do. and keep it as it is and see how it goes for 45 minutes.
Be a bit braver.
And if it's, just be a bit braver. And if it's not working, stick on Kivior or try Partey right back, whatever you want to do, or Xhaka at left wing, whatever people are going to try. Or Kivior left centre back, Gabriel right centre back.
Ooh, I've not heard that. I hear it, but I don't really. I'm really for it because I just feel football's funny and that when it's two right-sided centre backs, whether they play on the left or the right, no one says a thing.
No one cares.
You got two left footers. Oh my god, you can't do that. What's going on? Like, no, you can't play that, bro. Like, you're crazy. Why don't you think Kyrgios's been playing? Like, why don't you think he's ahead of Rob Holding right now?
Well, I think if you look at Arteta's comments, but after the game, he talks so much about like how good Tierney and holding on for the group and stuff. And realistically, from the outside, we look at that and we're like, so what? Like we're like, who cares? I don't care if he's a nice guy around the training ground. I want to win matches, but that actually does matter in a squad, and especially in a run-in. And you don't want people who feel alienated and isolated. You just don't want that around a team. So I feel like there's probably and there's a seniority thing. He's someone who's clearly, trains hard, works hard, like is a nice guy. That's not good enough. I'm not saying that, but in the situation that we're in, I think realistically it will be very hard for Mikel Arteta to look Rob Holding in the eye and go, "Look, mate, sticking this guy who arrived 20 minutes ago." So that it's I wouldn't be want to be the one saying that. I think realistically Mikel needs to probably give Rob an ultimatum and be like, "Look, you need to play like this and stop worrying about them going in behind." Or we're going to have to play someone else. It's not personal. It's just that you are refusing to play the way we want to play. It's having a massive impact, and therefore let's move on and we'll try something different.
And you said that, and that provoked two thoughts for me. The first is like obviously me and you with our limited resources know this. The man who watches them in training week in, week out must know this about Rob Holding. So it's like, does he feel like Holding being a leader, all of that, that's his pros with the cons that we've been discussing for 32 minutes. Is that better than what Kyrgios or any other option he could do? And also, in a sense of psychologically, what could that do for Holding? Because if, like you've seen with Eddie and things like that, if the one man who makes the decision believes in you and Arteta, that could make you go up a tenfold, really, really and truly. So I'm a bit keen to see what happens there. If I'm honest, man, I think that's a great shout from you, man. Really.
I'm also extremely upset that you think we don't know more about football than Mikel Arteta. What I find hilarious is when you share an opinion on Twitter and someone goes, "Oh, you know better than the manager, do you?" All right, so no one can comment. Just no one says anything. BBC
no one can say anything. There'll be no fans in the stadium.
No fans.
There'll be no fans. It'll be rubbish, mate. You just provoked another great thought. I was just thinking. Obviously, we've seen Tierney playing the inverted role. And I think it's like asking a fish to climb a tree, right? I do think he's giving it a good go. And I do think when you look at his age, of course, you're kind of young to kind of learn. If Xhaka can kind of learn something new, you can as well. And it's a good challenge. But at the same time, Tierney's just an organic left back. What you see is what you get. Why isn't he asking Rob Holding to play a bit more? Does he think clearly he must think Tierney has the capacity to do that inverted role versus Holding can't play with that high line sort of thing? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Because it could be realistically we won't know as well. So if it's not happening, we can draw conclusions. It could just be that Mikel says, "Look, Rob, just go out and play your game. I'm not going to give you instructions. Just go play your game." Which could
do what makes you Rob Holding.
Do what you feel is right on the pitch, and I back you 100%. Maybe that's what Rob Holding needs. Because maybe he said, "Rob, I need you to push up," and he's just looked an absolute calamity, and he's gone, "Well,
also a good point,
I have nothing. The only thing I can do is give this guy confidence, and I'm not going to make him confident by going, you have to play there, watch him get spun behind." So, and then he goes, "Right, everyone else, we need to adapt around him." Can you say that in the room in front of him? Do you know what I mean, it's really
that would make my heart would fall out my stomach. If you say that, I'll be like,
imagine being Rob Holding going in the title race, and Mikel's like, "Look, guys, Rob's playing tonight, and thank you, mate, for doing your best. But look, everyone, he's terrible. So we need to." You can't do that.
He's got a line to Rob Holding. I think the masseuse wants to see you. As soon as he leaves the room, listen, boys, you need to do X, Y, Z. Rob Holding's playing. As soon as he comes back in,
you know what I mean? Yeah, how was it?
We're talking about Bamian, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, would you risk Saliba if he is somewhat fit for City?
Come on, get the injections in him. What's Gary O'Driscoll got?
Send him to where Pep sends them players in Barcelona, or what Liverpool were doing previous years, man.
Get the asthma out. what was it? 38 registered asthma people in.
Oh, he needs to do everything. Get the best doctors. If there's voodoo, you could do anything that could get Saliba back here. We need it, bro.
Realistically, if we can have a 50% fit Saliba for City, I would take that risk, even if it means he's out for the rest. Even if he's out for the rest of the season, if it's like basically he might be back for he might be back fully fit for the last, say, 3 games. Title could be gone by then. So it might just be worth putting him in. I don't know. But also, something I thought about this as well. The City game is huge. Obviously, it's huge. But can I share on this?
I don't know, you know.
Wait, actually, go on my Twitter. It's like one of my most recent tweets. I've got a little like. It's my third on my media. It's the third thing, and it's a title race. Like, it's got the dates on it.
Yes.
You got it.
Yeah. 1 sec. Talk to us.
This guy. So, okay. Obviously, the City game is huge, absolutely huge, and I think it will decide the title, right? But after that, they have so much football to play, and if you look at the dates as well. The Leeds game, for example, it might get moved back, but the Leeds game.
I was just about to say, are they subject to change? But you already answered.
They might. Some of them might be.
Surely 2 days. Surely they got to help them out a bit.
I think that moves back, but even then they play West Ham and then Leeds 3 days later. So there's
tough games. Come on, Brighton, can you do something for me as well? Brentford as well, please. You lot are not looking at. Please.
Yeah, so like Brentford away, tough game. Brighton, tough game. Chelsea, tough game. Madrid, tough game. Everton fighting relegation. Madrid, tough game. Leeds fighting relegation. Like West Ham, might be all right. Fulham, tough game. Like obviously, there's no easy games, and we've got tough games too. But I know there will be. If we lose, obviously people will go, "Well, that's it then." But I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a lot of football to be played before the end of the season and a lot of tough games for them. So
and high intensity, high demanding, man. As great as City are.
A lot of football, and a lot of very
nice ball. Real Madrid, Leeds fighting for their lives. David Moyes do or something. Brentford, Brighton. I hope I'm not gassing up them games, but you two are the ones I'm looking at. Like, can you please get something of City, especially Fulham have been in terrible form. They've kind of gone woeful, but now that I've said that, they'll end up winning. If we can do our job against them and other teams can do us a favor.
I'd take a draw. I'd take a 0-0. I would take a camping in the box.
Now, I'll fight to live another day.
Oh, mate, 100%. 0-0.
I don't think we can lose. Like, I think we've got scope for 1 draw and every other 1 draw, 6 wins, and anything less, then we just have to go again next season. I think, you know, we've left ourselves too much now. Like, we needed something against West Ham. I personally thought we needed 6 points off West Ham and Southampton before we played City. Now it's going to be 4 at minimum and things like that. And even for us, you know, now that you said it, you know, my personal thoughts, if I had to risk Salim, I'm risking him for City, really. On one hand, if we risk you and you get injured 5 minutes in, then we haven't really helped ourselves. But if there's one game to gamble with City, it's Chelsea. Again, you'd want him back full of this, but Chelsea at home, their form, we should be able to offer them something. I'm not going to lie, I wish Saliba was there for Newcastle away. That scares me, but City, Newcastle will go with City.
Newcastle dropped off, though. Like, they're not.
I'm just scared, bro. I'm just scared of Newcastle, man. I'm just scared. Like, there's no logic. I'm just scared. They scare me. Last season, they beat us. I think they're bad news for the Premier League in terms of the other top 6 because they're actually. I wish they were doing what City were doing, just spending mad money on crap players. They're actually doing the right things under the hour. I'm scared of Newcastle, man. So I hope I'm overrating them, but I'm just
trauma. But they look terrible against Villa.
Yeah, but these teams wake up when it's us, even when we've won. Like Brighton at home, scary fixture. Nottingham Forest, we should win, but I don't think it'll be plain sailing. And Wolves, you have to win, provided it goes the way we do in that we win all our other games going into Wolves. Need to do what it is. It's in our hands, like you said, and like the gaffer said, it's in our hands. Like a lot of the time, it's been in our hands, and we've got another. There's only like it's like playing a video game. There's only a certain amount of lives in it, and like if we had 3 lives, we're on our last life now. And like we got to do something now.
Bro, how many tabs you got open?
Oh, don't do it, man. You're a tab police man as well. Allow me, man. I just came off a live. How many
unread emails you got? I bet one of those guys has got like 50,000 unread emails.
Yeah, do you know what? It's not even emails. I was writing. I was doing a live stream with my supporters, man. Let's just see how harsh people are, man. I've been bigging up your channel, and you just come on and just slated me. But all right,
tab
police. Tab police. It's normally just the people in the comments, but now we've got a fellow content creator. Maybe I'll change, man. I don't know. I'm one of them. I just find myself I just find it easier, bro. You should see the tab. You should see the tab screen on the one that I'm actually looking at facing you on this screen. You don't want to see that. That's about
terrifying. I'm a one tab, no unread emails, no unread texts kind of guy.
I'm like 500 unread emails, man. I'm too far. You know what, on your phone when it goes too far to turn back, I'm like, you know what, I'll accept it. I used to be like you, but gone down the wrong path, lad. I've gone down the wrong path. I've known there's no saving. Where do you see City dropping points though? Because they got bare games, and I agree with you. These are a lot of games, high intensity. As much as I feel City have a lot of depth, like a lot of it. When you look at it, they don't use that many players, and I don't think at the business end of the season, Pep is going to. So, if you had to make an educated guess,
Ake's out as well.
Ake's out as well.
Look at that. So I worked it out. Click on the quotes because I worked out how many. I quoted it with how many. Go down. There it is. They have 11 games in 37 days. That's a game every 3.36 days.
Oh shit! Why did I zoom in? I couldn't see that bad, but yeah.
Like realistically, I'll just promote my Twitter at this point. Realistically,
yeah, man, I follow the platforms, people. Like, I don't do this on Twitter. Like, big him up, man. You really cover everything.
Realistically, that's a lot of football. And if you look at the thing again, like from where is it? 3rd of May to 17th of May in 14 days, 2 weeks. They play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Like they're gonna do something. Something's gonna. They can't sustain that.
They're traveling as well.
And if they win every single one of those games, you hold your hands up. You just go, look.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying at the start. It's like in any other normal season, excluding City, what Pep has done, we've done enough to win the league. It's just we're fighting something different in City. I don't buy, and we spoke about this last time. I don't buy all of that. City haven't been good this season, and that they've had a wobble, but like their wobbles and everyone else, there's a mad golfing class, man. Yeah. Mad golf.
But I think this is partly why the draw at the weekend felt so kind of catastrophic is because it's in the context of City chasing us. If this was like a normal if Pep Guardiola, on a sort of alternative timeline didn't come into the league, etc., actually then Arteta wouldn't be here. Pointless. But anyway, point being, if they weren't as good as they are, that point would be like, well, yeah, teams drop points. The Invincibles drew 12 games. 12 games. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. That can't happen now. I don't think you can do that with the league now, such as the fine margins. Like, look, it's taking. You can get like we saw with Liverpool. Didn't they get like 90 odd points and was still pipped? I could be wrong, but like the margins are just different now.
And this is why it's just absolute rubbish. I don't know if you saw that guy on Twitter this morning. He was saying, I don't think Arsenal will get top 4 next season. And he's just like, if you're a team we're on course for like 90 plus points, what do you think is going to happen? Like, unless we have a Liverpool situation. But if you look at all the underlying metrics, we're a young team, we're clearly getting better. You watch.
We just keep doing what we're doing. We're getting top 4 next year.
Has just done that for ages. It's just going to go because you said it will it?
Like, yeah. Like, I mean, he must just be trying to get traction. I mean, I can't rule it out because I don't know the future. I don't know what the landscape is looking like, but it feels like now is our time to at least have a couple of years within this competition. So,
well, I do know the future, and Nicholas Bentner comes back. He scores an overhead bicycle kick in the Champions League final next year and we win it.
This guy. Whatever you're smoking, mate.
He's still playing, Nicholas Bentner.
I hate him, man. I hated him. I hated Bentner. I really did. I hated the whole gimmick around him. Like, if you're gonna have that Zlatan Ibrahimovic attitude, at least be Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
At least be Zlatan.
I admired it, but fucking hated him, my guy. Like, I hated him. And you made an interesting point about the games, and it made me wonder now. Obviously, in an ideal world, Pep wins a treble, does all of that stuff. Do you think they'd rather win the Champs or the Prem?
Champions League, obviously. That 100%, of course. If you're Pep, realistically, what is the only thing that I already think Pep is the greatest manager ever. I think Sir Alex, for his time, was amazing. But if you're, in my opinion, always, if you're doing it in the modern era, you are the best. Because if you look at the level of competition, the level of money, the level of interest, the level of like sports science, nutrition, how everything's moved on, the quality of the work that you're doing is better than was being done before. Now, Sir Alex, maybe if he was managing right now, you don't know, but realistically, the way he managed worked for people in the 90s and 2000s. It wouldn't work with the modern footballer. So I already think Pep is the best. But if he wins the Champions League with Man City and gets them that over the line, I think he's the best. So I think all of those players will be thinking, this Champions League, if we win it, and we've won, 4 out of the last 5 Prems, and if say they won 4 out of the last 6, and then went on to win 6 in 8 years or whatever it ends up being, that's probably the best Premier League team of all time. That sort of period, that Man City team.
In terms of dominance, probably.
I'm
sure
crazy.
United fans would have something to say to that. But in the present day, I don't think we'll see this level of dominance that Pep has had. I say this now. I hope Arteta can do that in years to come. You're right, still, and what you said is an interesting point, because I think the lazy view, I share exactly what you said in relation to regardless Pep is a goal and all of these things. But many people will say, well, since you left Barca, you didn't do that at Bayern Munich. In fact, I'm sure they won the Champions League either before or after you left, or you were there. They obviously, City, you were probably brought in to dominate the Prem, but it's the champs, and that's the one thing that evades you. And obviously the wounds are probably still fresh when they lost to, actually, ironically, a team they've got to play in the league as well, Chelsea, in the final. That would, I think you'd be able to sleep easy. And obviously City are a great team. They could be there next year, but considering the final that they lost to Chelsea, they're in the semis now, great performance against Bayern Munich. I would feel, if I was a City player, that if we don't do it now, I don't think I will be here when City win it, if they are to win it. Hopefully not before us. Hopefully we can. I see what Benfica were doing and Inter and AC. I hope this time next year we can get to the latter stages of the champs. For me, let's just get out the group, bro, and take it from there. But boy, my last question for you then, obviously, we've got Southampton. Give me a score prediction.
I think we're going to have a tricky first half. I have a feeling the first half we're going to be shaky, and there's going to be a lot of expectation, and there's going to be a lot of nerves. And I think, I think we'll win. I think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-0.
Do you know what? I'll be fair. As long as we don't score those 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, because I don't want to see that anymore in our last 2 games. Since we've done that, it ain't been good enough. I'll take that. I'm going to be optimistic. It's Friday. We've disappointed ourselves based on the high standards. I'll go for 4-1. I want a clean sheet. Yeah, I'm going to go for 4-1 Arsenal, man. Fuck it.
We never get a clean sheet at home, so maybe you're right.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd rather your scoreline, because I want the clean sheet, because I don't think Ramsdale has the number of clean sheets he deserves, and obviously the level of defending comes down to anything. That's actually something I feel we have to change. And my unpopular opinion is, until we learn to love defending like we love scoring these goals and these wonderful moves, we won't get to where we need to get to. And I actually feel these last 7, 8, 9 games, we've kind of evaded the higher standards we've set of ourselves defensively. Prior, now it's more of a case of getting caught on the transition and not reading the game and punching smart. Before, it was we're kind of conceding too much from set pieces. I think we've kind of dropped off defensively. Naturally, at this part of the season, there's going to be several drop-offs, but I'm going with 4-1, man. So hopefully the next time we speak, we've done a thing, bro. What content you got to come out? Obviously, you just drop the Arteta one. Go and subscribe, folks.
Yeah, well, go go check out the different knock. If you're not already, there it is.
People watch them all, but this one,
Arteta has a problem. Capitalized. I actually haven't written my next video yet, so I can't help you. But go check that out. Also, the Gabriel centre-back one absolutely flopped. So if you're watching this, go watch that, because it was a really good video. I tried my hardest on that one.
Nah, man, I wouldn't say it flopped. What makes you say it flopped?
Well, it just actually. No, do you know what, mate? Some of the comments annoyed me. That's basically what it was.
Let me see this. Don't want to get done by copyright, so let's pause that.
Did you get done by copyright? Do you know what's so funny? That first comment, that's my editor. he comments on everything to try.
He said he's commenting his own work like he's not seen it.
You won't find them because I've deleted them. But so,
don't delete them, man.
No,
it's engagement, bro. Like,
no. You know those comments when someone will be like, I'll say in the video, like, I don't know, Gabriel should get in the Brazil squad. He didn't get the Brazil squad, and then someone will comment going, "You're an idiot. You didn't mention that Gabriel didn't get in the Brazil squad." You're like,
nah, man, leave them, man. The comments, like, bro, you got to remember the YouTube algorithm. Unless someone's being like hateful, the YouTube algorithm's like, oh, this guy commented, put it out there, bro. The very fact that somebody has commented, you've won.
Any comment's a good comment, all right?
Exactly. As long as they're not being mad disrespectful, every comment's a good comment. If somebody thought you were chatting shit, you know, if you was watching someone on YouTube or me and you thought someone's chatting nonsense, just click off the video, go about your day.
I'm going to start commenting on your videos and start ripping the algorithm.
Hey, go ahead, man. I appreciate that, my guy, man. But let me let you get out of it, man. Hopefully, the next time we speak, we've won in it, and hopefully, we beat City on Wednesday. But yeah, to reiterate, he's gone with 2-0 Arsenal. I'm going with 4-1. People, if you're not following the different knock and you're not following Alex on his socials, everything will be in the description by the time this video is out, even though we've been showing you where to go, and I hope some of you have followed. Make sure you're subscribing, you're following both the channels and things like that. And hopefully next time we buck up, my guy, it's positive days, man. But for now, folks, we're gone. Safe, man.
There's always just that active and defending.